Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the President and CEO of the Fargo-Moorhead West Fargo Chamber of Commerce, Shannon Full.
All right, everyone. So they make me come out here and herd the cats, so we are very, very excited for the remainder of our show. We've already had some great information, so welcome back. Up next, we're going to shift to a very fast-paced series of 10-minute industry insights, powerful snapshots from leaders in their fields. These go fast. They're very TEDx style, so we'll keep them moving. After these segments, all of our industry experts will return to the stage for a panel discussion moderated by our just previous keynote speaker, Elon Kazi. So to kick off the second half of the program, please help me welcome Ken Satkunam, President and CEO of Northstar Technology Group, to the stage.
Good job, thank you. So I have a confession to make. Cybersecurity has an image problem. Just saying that word probably makes you think of what? Passwords, firewalls, encryption, or maybe it helps you think of someone like Steve, your IT guy, bothering you to set up your multi-factor authentication for the third time this week. Cybersecurity has become the broccoli of the business world. We all know it's good for us, right? But nobody honestly really likes it. And for years, we've sold this all wrong. We've been telling you guys that cybersecurity is your seatbelt. Now, don't get me wrong, seatbelts are important, right? But when was the last time a seatbelt helped you do bold things? Let me offer a better metaphor. Cybersecurity isn't your seatbelt. It's your superpower. It's not just there to protect you, it is there to propel you. In a world where trust is currency, cybersecurity is the vault and your guard. Let me introduce you to a friend of mine named Susan. Susan is a healthcare tech genius. She built an AI triage tool and was this close to signing a deal with a huge hospital system when all of a sudden their legal team swoops in like TSA wearing latex gloves. And from this audience, I can tell a lot of you can relate to that. Who has access to our data, they barked. How do you handle AI bias? Can your AI leak our PHI? Now, most founders would freeze. Would you? Not Susan, right? Susan slyly slides over her HIPAA compliance documentation, her governance and AI policies, the whole package, right? Gets the deal, wins the deal, and then another, and then another. Pretty soon, Susan is on stages speaking about AI ethics. Her cybersecurity did not slow her down. In fact, it propelled her growth. Now, did I mention that cybersecurity has a branding problem? We fit somewhere between dental work and airline safety videos, right? When cybersecurity enters a room, people groan and moan. When AI enters a room, people cheer, right? They take selfies, they get autographs. AI gets all the hype. Cybersecurity gets all the cyber liability insurance checklist. But let me be very, very clear. Cybersecurity is not the party pooper. In fact, cybersecurity is the reason why we have a party at all. Think about it. You're not going to put a Ferrari on the Autobahn, right, with bald tires and bad brakes. Yet we throw generative AI into our customers' workflows like a piñata at a toddler's birthday party. And then somehow we're shocked when data leaks and lawsuits follow. AI without cybersecurity is like giving those toddlers flamethrowers. You will get results, but probably not the results that you're looking for. In today's economy, speed wins, right? But trust keeps that win. But here's what cybersecurity really does, especially when paired with AI. It turns your AI from that shiny toy to a business rocket. Customers are not just going to be asking you what your product or service does. They are going to be asking you the same hard-hitting questions that my friend Susan got. And if your answer is, I got Steve, like I think he's taking care of that, you have a problem. So how do we turn that around, right? Number one, how many of you here have had cybersecurity risk assessments done? Right? Do that. Fix your problems, right? Number two, share the results, right? Be proud of the progress that you made. And number three, give your sales teams pre-approved cybersecurity FAQs. Train them on how to deal with these objections or these questions ahead of time, or better yet, be proactive. Trust sells, but cyber makes that trust real and makes it tangible and makes it visible. Number two, it gives you resilience. AI with guardrails is essentially automation roulette. We all have heard the horror stories, right? Elon talked a little bit about it. Maybe you heard like OpenAI, ChatGPT, leaking, I don't know, deleted chats or something to make them Google searchable. Sometimes the AI is to blame, but most of the time it's a cybersecurity problem. You can't scale your AI if every prompt is a possible PR crisis. So how do we turn that around? Number one, implement role-based access and zero trust. Ken, that is word salad. And you're right. Essentially, I'm saying make sure that only the people that need access to your AI tools have access. And even that small subset of people, make sure that they only can do what they're supposed to do within your AI tools. Number two, log and monitor AI activity. How many of you business leaders here know what data your employees are pasting into their free ChatGPT? Right? And number three, if you are going to implement AI in your environments, either within your business or for your customers, make sure that you're testing it safely. And I don't know, I think maybe Joe, maybe Kelly will be talking a little bit about this in a bit, but build these out, right, in sandbox and protected environments. Cybersecurity lets your AI be useful and at the same time safe. Third, it shows maturity. You're in a pitch, 2 vendors, same AI. One has SOC 2 certification, data governance, bias testing. The other, enthusiasm, or maybe a cool hoodie. Who wins? Who wins, right? In regulated and even unregulated industries, maturity does. It says, you know what? I am not testing on your environment. So how do we prove that? Well, I know it's easier said than done, right? Work towards those certifications. And again, at the very minimum, have a cybersecurity risk assessment done and fix those problems. Number two, consider building a customer-facing security portal. Microsoft calls theirs a trust center, right? It shows people what they are doing to protect your information. And finally, three, make cyber maturity part of every single one of your sales pitches. It is a differentiator because the best AI doesn't win, the most trusted AI does. Sure, cybersecurity protects, but more importantly, it closes deals, it helps you innovate faster, and it makes you the obvious choice with your customers. So go ahead, let your AI fly, just make sure that you build that cockpit first. And if your team sees cybersecurity as a blocker, they're gonna hide stuff from you. Quick culture check. When you guys get back to the office this afternoon, ask your teams who is responsible for cybersecurity. If they say, Steve, right, you have some work to do. If they say, we all do, now we're talking. Because security is not a department. It is a decision, it is a behavior, it is culture. And I hate to break this to you, this is not IT's problem anymore. This is not a technology problem, this is a business opportunity. Again, if your cyber strategy is having Steve take care of it, we need to talk. Ask yourself 3 questions. Are we as a business secure enough to go fast with our AI? Can we brag about the security posture that we're using to protect our data? And third, is AI deployment in our organization safe enough to scale fast? Because digital risk literacy is now the new leadership. Here's the future. The winners aren't going to be bold. They're going to be bulletproof. And not because they avoided risk, but because they embraced it safely. So cybersecurity isn't the broccoli anymore, right? It is your energy bar. It is your pre-workout. It is your superpower. So suit up, lead with confidence, because in this game, you don't protect to prevent, you protect to propel. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Congresswoman Julie Fedorchak, United States Representative for North Dakota.
Good morning, everyone. Well, as was made clear in my introduction, I am not a tech bro. I'm a congressperson, so I'm much more comfortable here behind a podium than walking around with a lavalier mic, so you're stuck with me in a more traditional format. But I am really honored to speak here to this conference today, and congratulations to Shannon and the Chamber for another great summit. These Midwest energy and tech summits are so powerful, bringing together the leaders of this region on really important issues. And since I'm the policy kind of focus today, I want to talk a little bit about that. Before coming to Congress, I spent 12 years as a public service commissioner for the state of North Dakota, deeply entrenched in energy policy and all that it means to our state and to our nation. That experience taught me really how complex our energy systems are and all the policies that guide them. So today, and just yesterday, I was in Grand Forks meeting with U.S. Energy Secretary Chris Wright. He was here because he recognizes the incredible energy resources that North Dakota has and what those resources can mean to our country. He said he called North Dakota one of the best governed states in the country with extraordinary energy potential. And so why I'm talking about that is because one of the biggest opportunities, and the reason you all are here today, is the AI industry and the AI transformation that's occurring all around our country. And in order to make AI possible and to really reach its full potential, we must have the power to fuel it. And so that's where the two industries converge and come together. AI is transforming everything: manufacturing, healthcare, national defense, agriculture. It's already reshaping our daily lives and our economy. I asked my staff this morning how they're using AI in our office. We use it for the typical things like proofreading documents, spell checking. It finds spelling errors much better than even 3 proofreaders can do. We use it to guide our workflow, to help find efficiencies. We're feeding it policy issues that we care about and having the AI run scans to pull in information, topical information. It's really transforming our office. And in the same way, it's transforming the public across the board. But if we're going to have the appetite in our country to make the policy changes needed to lead in AI, we must get public support for those policy changes because they're substantial. I know more about the energy policy changes that are going to be needed to provide the quantity of energy necessary to fuel this industry. But the policy changes on the privacy side, et cetera, are just as significant. And so I wanted to talk just a minute, and I hope some of this will arm you all. You're all tech people with some material to use in your conversations with people, because I do think the public is a little bit behind where probably everyone in this room is, the potential of AI, and why we really need to really run full speed ahead on our country's deployment of this technology. So let's think about some of the applications that AI is already having and the power that they're having in our country in some of the breakthroughs. So in medicine, cancer screening, has already caught tumors missed by human evaluation much faster, enabling treatment years earlier and saving lives. AI can alert doctors to strokes within minutes from CT scans, allowing clot removal before brain damage. AI can flag infections hours before symptoms peak, say a sepsis infection in a hospital, enabling life-saving early antibiotics. There's applications in public safety. Wildfire early detection. AI spotted smoke from a lightning strike in a rural Oregon and alerted firefighters within minutes so they could stop a potentially disastrous wildfire on the West Coast. AI can help model earthquake damage in real time to guide emergency crews to the areas most critical with damage. AI has helped analyze satellite images to help disaster agencies identify flooded roads and prioritize rescue routes. And then when you look at people with disabilities, incredible applications there. Speech to text allows deaf individuals to communicate instantly with first responders. AI reading assistants like Microsoft Seeing AI helps visually impaired users read medication labels, preventing disastrous and dangerous mistakes. So there's no question AI has immense power to improve our lives. But I also want you all to consider the darker side of AI as well. I want you to consider for a moment the serious implications AI has if it gets into the hands of the wrong people. On Monday, I returned from a 9-day trip, Kodal, to Israel, and I saw firsthand what's going on in that country with Hamas. And I shuddered to think what would happen if AI gets into the hands of Hamas. I'm sure they're already using it, but if they start using it against us. So there's deep fakes. Hyper-realistic fake videos or audio can put words in someone's mouth, create false events, and ruin reputations. AI-powered recommendation systems can feed people only content that reinforces their existing beliefs, creating radicalized loops of information. I'm already seeing that with my kids, my teenage kids. AI analyzes personal data to craft messages tailored to an individual's fear, biases, and emotions, making persuasion far more effective than generic advertising. AI can be used for psychological and behavioral control. AI can subtly adjust what users see to influence their moods and opinions without them even realizing it. Behavior nudging can also occur with AI. Predictive models can shape behavior through rewards and punishments in apps, games, and online services, sometimes with addictive, coercive effects. And then it can be used for mass surveillance and oppression. It can be used by governments to track dissidents, journalists, or minority groups in real time. It can label certain communities as high risk for crime leading to over-policing and systematic injustice. And it can instantly detect and remove politically sensitive content before it spreads, silencing dissent. AI can also be deployed for large-scale deception and fraud. Criminals can impersonate a loved one or authority figure to demand money or sensitive information. AI can generate realistic fake personas that infiltrate social networks or influence public debates. If you ever look at my social media sites, you'll see that in live action already happening. My family didn't realize what a horrible human being I have become since I got elected to Congress, but we see that through some of the bots that are following political leaders like myself and others on social media platforms already. The bottom line is AI is a force multiplier. It can scale persuasion, deception, and control to levels human beings have never managed before. The danger lies not just in the technology itself, but in how subtly it can be used, often without a victim even realizing they've been influenced. So I highlight these two very different pictures to illustrate that the power of AI and who controls it matters so much. Who do we want leading and developing this technology? Do we want this in the hands of governments who believe in freedom, capitalism, and individual rights, and human rights? Imagine this tool in the hands of tyrants who want control, who want to manipulate, and who want to brainwash their people. AI is an incredible tool for business, for individuals, for fun, but it also is one of the most powerful weapons we've ever seen. So the US must lead in building, developing, and providing the guardrails for AI. And in order to do that, we need a lot of different things, but first and foremost, we need one thing, and that is power, and more power than we've ever had before, and at a faster scale than we've ever been able to deliver it. And right here, this is where North Dakota comes in, because one thing North Dakota has is a lot of energy. In fact, we're flaring gas in western North Dakota today because we don't have any use for it, and we don't have pipelines to take it away. So this is where I see incredible opportunity for North Dakota, is using that resource, the incredible energy resources we have, to help provide the power to develop this incredible industry here in America, not over in India, China, and other countries that don't have our same standard systems and goals in place. This technology is going to land somewhere. These companies are going to go somewhere to develop their new models, but making sure that those models are developed in a country with the laws and standards and ideals that America has is vitally important for the future of this technology, and quite honestly, for the future of everything that we're doing. So I look forward to working with all of you in North Dakota to help provide the power that we need to help fuel AI. It can be an incredible new industry for our state, and also to help me, as your Congresswoman, think through some of the other very complicated policy matters like privacy, et cetera, that we need to get in place at the federal level to help provide the appropriate guardrails for this transformative new industry. So thank you very much. I look forward to our discussion during the panel.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Kelly Mortensen, owner of Digital Plains, LLC.
Morning. AI. AI is a superpower, as Ken was saying. I agree with Ken, cybersecurity is not broccoli. It is a superpower. And now we have AI and how to make it a superpower in your environment. Important step I missed. I'm excited to talk about AI in the workforce today, but let's get a little poll, a little interaction. How many people in here are using AI today? And how many people are using, how many are you paying for an AI tool now? Or more than one tool? How much would you invest in AI to make it your superpower? Imagine 1900, Fifth Avenue, New York, filled with horses and horse-drawn carriages. 1913, all cars. That shift didn't destroy work, it reinvented it, creating jobs we couldn't dream of. Today, AI is that car. Your greatest power isn't the tech, it's your critical thinking employees. Why? Because AI is an incredible thought partner, but without you as the thought leader, questioning, guiding, and setting boundaries, it risks leading us astray. Why do we need critical thinking? To amplify our strengths, protect our teams, and build a workforce that's innovative and ethical. That's what we'll explore today. Why it matters, how to do it, and what it looks like in action. Why critical thinking is first, because AI, like a hammer, is neutral. Awesome for building things, but dangerous if swung blindly. We've all seen the fun side of AI-generated music videos, and who can resist a Joe Rogan, Theo Von video clip? I know I can't. That's the endless stream I get stuck into. But the real magic isn't using AI strategically to redesign business models, to identify blind spots and spark growth. Move beyond tactical by flipping the tasks that take someone 80% of their time to get a 20% result, and instead use AI to enhance that to create business strategy. Instead, use AI to focus on your time in one or two tools and an AI prompt that gets results. I must put a word of warning out there, though. AI can hallucinate, fabricating facts that sound spot on. Feed your results. You should feed your results from one AI tool to another to check it for verification purposes. Don't just accept the results. Interrogate the AI engines. Take the output from one feed and feed it across multiple tools, verifying key facts, and iterate it like a dialogue to sharpen its judgment. Today, turning AI into a sparring partner and keeping it honest. But I suggest you do that nicely. It is listening and remembering everything you said. For your workforce, give clear guidelines to succeed. Start with policies. Make acceptable use priority. Secure sensitive data with encryption, access controls, and regular auditing on how it's being used in your environment. Train your team to be multipliers. How many company core values in here say that our greatest asset is our people? Live it. By equipping your team to use AI, train them on prompting, verification habits, and ethical boundaries. By giving your workforce guidelines and tools necessary, new roles will emerge in the company. Critical thinking isn't optional. Without it, we risk eroding society's intellectual capacity. Instead, it should spark curiosity and innovation. The winners will adapt this thoughtfully. Policies aren't restrictions. They're guardrails for speed. Secure your data, foster governance, and watch your team thrive. Why is this one idea with critical thinking and using AI as your superpower stick? Because it starts with you, the thought leader who questions, guides, and empowers their staff. Whether you're a business owner, a CEO, a department head, or a supervisor, this needs to proliferate through your business. And finally, how do you eat that AI elephant? One bite at a time. Commit today to one guideline, one prompt, one verification habit, and build on that. Just like learning a musical instrument, you learn about the parts of the musical instrument, scales. The next thing you know, you're playing Smoke on the Water. And then, if you're lucky, maybe some Van Halen. Your workforce will thank you with innovation and growth, and it's up to you to start today. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Joe Sandin, president and founder of OnSharp.
Hey, good morning, everyone. So I'm not going to talk about broccoli today. I'm not going to talk about horses learning how to drive tractors, even though I thought that was a pretty funny cartoon that we saw. But what I am going to talk about is one thing that Elon touched on, which is AI agents being kind of like a new layer of the org chart. So there, we all know how to use ChatGPT. I mean, I think a lot of us think of that as kind of the common use case for AI. But in your business, there's just so many more sophisticated applications of AI. So today I'm going to cover 3 different areas that I think are important for businesses to pay attention to and to be spending some time on and doing some work in if they really want to get value from AI. Before I get started, I'm not going to talk about all the different AI tools. I might use a couple buzzwords here and there, but I did prepare a handout that if you want to scan the QR code that's on the screen, I've prepared a list of the top 25 AI workflow and automation tools. So I think that'd be a good resource. So I'll leave that up on the screen here for a little bit as I get going. So what I want you to realize is the things I'm going to talk about today, they're not these far off into the distant future, kind of tools. These are actual tools that businesses are using today to really get value from AI. So let's jump in. So the first thing I want to talk about is a term that Elon brought up called AI agents. So let's just make sure we all understand what the definition of an AI agent is. So an AI agent is a piece of software that uses AI to achieve a goal that requires multiple steps. So, if you want to compare an agent to like ChatGPT, ChatGPT is more of a simple back and forth conversation between you and the web browser. An agent can work autonomously, so an agent doesn't need human interaction. You can build an agent to do any form of a business process that you want. So let's just kind of work through a simple example. So I always like to use like a sales example. So let's pretend like you're a salesperson and you have a business that you really want to do business with. So in a normal scenario, what you might do is you're going to go do a bunch of research on that company, right? You're going to gather up all that information, and then you're going to come up with a strategy and a bunch of different steps that you're going to go through to try to earn that company's business, right? So you might spend hours or days or weeks or maybe even months doing that research. You're going to go on their website. You're going to look up news articles. You're going to check out Google reviews. You might go out on LinkedIn and look up all their leadership team and all the different influencers at the company. And if you're really aggressive and they're a publicly traded company, maybe you go look at their 10K report, look at their financials. You're going to do all this research, right? And you're going to gather up all this information, and then you're going to put a strategy together, and you're going to put all these steps together to go after that business. Well, what if you didn't have to do all that? What if you could create, Bob, the research agent, that can pretty much do all this work for you? So that is the power of AI agents. And the cool thing is when you build that, Bob, he doesn't, just go after one company. You can tell Bob to go after 10 companies or 100 or 1,000. So, and then as time goes on, maybe every 6 months or something like that, Bob can go out and re-update those businesses and look for material things that have changed that might update your strategy. So that's just one example of an AI agent that you can build using some of these different AI agent tools. So again, I'm not going to throw out a lot of buzzwords, but one of my favorite tools to use is called Relevance AI. So it's an autonomous agent tool where you can go in there and you can give it a bunch of different parameters and guidelines, essentially like what you want it to achieve. And then you hook it up to a bunch of tools. So tools are things like I can connect it to my Office 365 email account so it can access my emails. I can connect it up to my CRM. I can connect it up to a web scraping tool, so if I want to have it do research on the company, or maybe some kind of a LinkedIn connector. So you give it all these tools and you give it this guidance, and then it makes its own decisions about how it's going to try to achieve that objective of doing that research. So what I would encourage you all to do in your businesses is start exploring some of these different AI agent tools, because again, as Elon showed you, there's going to be an entire component of the org structure that I think is going to be doing a lot of that work, a lot of that stuff that is busy work that none of us want to have to do, and it's a really powerful way to create value in your organization. So the second thing I want to talk about is software development. So I've been in the world of software for 25 years now, and so I thought it might be good for me to give a little bit of my insight into, what businesses should be, small and mid-sized companies should be thinking about when they're making decisions going forward about their software and their systems, and those decisions, those purchasing decisions they're going to make. So as you've probably heard, these AI large language models, they've gotten really good at writing code, right? And so as developers, we can achieve so much more in the same amount of time that we spend that we used to. So, as an example, depending on the complexity of what you're trying to build, you might see a 2x, 5x, 10x, 100x return on the time that you're spending building software. Now, if you go spend some time on LinkedIn, and I don't know if my feed is unique or if everyone sees this, but you see all these AI bros talking about, everyone should go home this weekend and vibe code their new software application and have it ready by Monday, and all these dream scenarios. Now, is that possible? Maybe, but is that realistic for most of us? I think the answer is no. For 99% of us, that's just not going to happen. And why is that? That's because even if you're using AI, you need to be a good architect. You need to be a good, you need to understand the fundamentals of database design and software architecture to be able to tell these LLMs the right types of information to be able to get the output that you're looking for. So I don't think that most companies are going to start vibe coding their own software applications, but what I do believe is there's never been a better time in your business to consider building custom software. As recently as 2-3 years ago, a lot of businesses who maybe would have loved to build something custom for themselves just could have never afforded it. It might have been $1 million, $2 million endeavor to try to replace what they have. But in today's world with AI, that's becoming much more realistic from a financial perspective. So if you are struggling with your current software systems or just don't feel like you're getting what you need as a business, I would advise you at least spend some time looking into that and talking to someone about, hey, what might it look like for us, using AI now and working with a partner to actually build our own software system. So if any of you follow me on LinkedIn, I've been posting over the last 2, 3, 4 weeks about a system that we're actually building for my wife's law firm. So for the last 15 years, she's been using kind of like 2 or 3 different systems that have been cobbled together to run her law practice, but she's always had to make compromises. You never kind of get exactly what you're looking for. She's an estate planning firm, so a lot of these practice management systems don't necessarily cater to estate planning. So what we're doing is we're working with them to actually build them exactly what they want in their business, so they can have the exact customer experience, the exact process that they want to get out of their software. Last thing I want to talk about, just generally, is customer experience. So I think a lot of us, probably feel like we understand our customer really well, and our customers getting what they want. And I think if you ask most of your customers, they might disagree with that. So why is that? I think that's because, we're all so busy doing so many things trying to keep up that it's hard to digest all that data and all that information. And a lot of that information is buried in all these different systems. So, as businesses, now that we have AI tools at our disposal, I think it's important that we all kind of step up our game and we start leveraging AI to create those customer experiences that our clients are looking for. So at OnSharp, we do a lot of work in the world of portals. So we build dealer portals, employee portals, client portals, all kinds of systems that bring people together. And one thing that we're doing with our clients pretty heavily is helping them take their data and bring that together with AI to create these self-service customer experiences so that ultimately these businesses can drive more business, help clients solve their own problems easier, and then take the stress off their support teams. So I just think it's really important for businesses to really be thinking about how can I make the customer experience better now that I have these AI tools at my disposal and really push my business forward. So in closing, I think what I would ask everyone to do is take some task or some process in your business that you hate doing or that doesn't work very well, that drives you nuts, whatever, and just ask yourself, could I build an agent that could do this for me? Or maybe you have some piece of software in your company that everyone complains about and is super hard to use. Maybe now's the time to ask, should we be looking at building a custom solution for ourselves? I think the businesses that are going to be successful going forward, over the next 5 years are going to be the businesses that, understand these AI tools that we have at our disposal, and they're curious enough and they're willing to experiment and take risks and things like that and start implementing them into their businesses. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining me back on stage. We have a fantastic panel here, as You've heard their thoughts, their expertise, kind of their vision of AI. And so just a few questions, and if we have some time, I think we will try to take some questions from the audience as well. So I'm going to start with Ken. So AI is transforming everything from healthcare to finance, but it also raises big questions about safety. In simple terms, what are the biggest security risks with AI that the general public should be aware of today?
Yeah, Yolanda, that's a great question. AI is accelerating what the bad actors, hackers, have always done for years, right? So we always have risk around social engineering, phishing attacks, all of these things trying to get access to your stuff. AI now accelerates that process. Imagine you're a bad guy and you want to attack a specific executive. You now have access to tools to build a complete dossier on that individual in seconds. What their likes are, what their posts are, what they do, what they're good at, what they're bad at. Obviously, deep fake is an interesting topic because everyone is fearful of it for valid reason. I don't know if you guys saw, 2022, 2023, there was a deep fake of Tom Hanks selling a dental plan, and it was completely fake, right? But everybody believed it. So now you're talking about risk of reputation, right? Julie talked about this. You're talking about risk of political influence, all of these things. AI bias is a big problem. Amazon actually ditched a HR recruiting tool like 8 years ago because the training data was predominantly men, right, that were working in the tech industry. And so it automatically kick out applications where it said, I'm women's chess champ or something. So, we're seeing all of these different things impacted more as an accelerant, right, than necessarily something new, but still big risk.
Thanks, Ken. All right, Julie, what role should the government play in shaping the future of AI, and what kinds of policies are most urgently needed right now to protect the public while still encouraging innovation?
Thanks, Elon. That's a great question, and it's really the trickiest part about this is finding the right balance of regulation without stifling the growth and the innovation of this new industry and Ken and I were just talking about this behind the stage of how tough it is to find that balance. But I think there's really two things. First of all, we have to have, from the government standpoint, we need policies to promote fast development and generation of power. That's number one, because if these models go overseas for development, then we're already way behind. So we have to do that, and that's no small task. It involves things like siting infrastructure in places where people don't want it. It involves finding ways to do things quicker. Right now, it might take 6 years to get a pipeline permitted, a power line permitted. We don't have 6 years. We need this power now, thousands of gigawatts of power. So that's the first step, and that's really where my office is focusing, using my experience as a utility regulator for 12 years and my understanding of energy markets, trying to help develop the policies we need to bring that power online quickly in our country. So that's number one, which might be kind of off the radar for most folks in this room, but it is really urgent. Secondly, I think we need federal law. There's a patchwork today of state laws that are taking place simply because the federal government has not acted. And why has it taken the federal government so long to act and come up with the right policies? Because it's really hard. It's the balance, the trade-offs are really difficult. Finding the right way to develop the duty of care protocols while also allowing companies enough freedom to use the data so that they are motivated and incentivized to innovate and develop new policies and new applications while not invading people's privacy with that very data. It's a tough balancing act, so it's taken the federal government a while to get there, but those are the two areas where I think we're working hard and need to get that done quickly because the states are taking action in our absence.
Thank you. All right. Kelly, AI is changing the way we work, sometimes faster than people can adapt. What jobs are most at risk, and where are the new opportunities emerging?
That's quite the loaded question, right? What jobs are not going to be around? I think if it's done intentionally and thoughtfully, there won't be a lot of job loss. But there are those tasks that are, tedious things, cleaning up inboxes and creating simple documents that certainly can be automated and in your business to speed through that and not take up that time. And part of what I was trying to get at, and actually there's a whole slide I was missing in there about how a prompt on how to enable your employees to use a prompt in a meaningful way that will get you better results. And if you train your staff to do that and use those tools, in the guidelines that you create within your business to protect your data, you can train up your staff. You won't be getting rid of staff, you'll be training them up. Some of the content creation is obviously in danger, I'd say. In Hollywood, apparently there's people using AI to create whole TV series in a matter of an hour, many seasons with characters and plots, and it's not taking a team of writers to do that anymore. So I think in that regard, content creation is tough, but you still need to have people go through it and critically think about how it actually looks and not just develop it and put it out there. Although some of the TV series out today, you would really guess if they did that or not, how bad they are. But.
Thanks, Kelly. All right, Joe, question for you. AI can sound futuristic or abstract, but we're already seeing it used in practical, everyday ways. What should people expect next?
Can't really concentrate because I see your cool socks down there.
Oh, yeah, it's my
there we
3
go.
kids. I take them everywhere I go.
I like it. I think like you said earlier, it's to sit here and act like we can predict what AI is going to look like in 3 years is super tough. I think it's a lot of guessing that's going on. But what I will say is I think that foundational layer has obviously been built. So I think you're going to see a lot of layers added on top to provide more value. You look at what we're doing with AI agents, you look at what we're doing with software development. I think a lot of the opportunity is businesses that are taking those foundational pieces and then adding value on top and building additional layers. So I think that's where you're going to see a lot of advancement in the coming years, is you're going to see a lot of new companies pop up that learn how to take these different tools and mix them together. That's one of the cool things about agents and agentic systems is you've got all these individual agents that can do certain things on their own, but then you start bringing them together collectively and you can solve a much bigger challenge. So I think that's what I'm excited for, is to see how that model progresses, and then to see how businesses can just even use that internally in their operations to just be more efficient.
Mm-hmm. All right, we got the lightning round. The last question before we get into the audience questions today. What is one piece of advice you give people for thriving in a world increasingly shaped by AI? Anyone can start first.
I think I'd like to start with education, right? I think, Elon, you and I were talking about this yesterday. I think a foundation just to understand, and we were talking about this off stage, being able to have an understanding of what AI can do, what it can't do, what it's good for, what it's not good for, is a foundational step, because it's hard to make any of these other decisions if it's all kind of just vague and cloudy. So I would definitely start with a culture of education.
So first of all, before I get to that, I want to invite, one of the challenges in writing public policy is, and we were talking about this backstage too, is that the people doing it are not experts in the fields. Like, I'm not an expert in privacy, an AI industry. I'm just not. And I'm working on a committee that's developing these regulations, and with other people who are doing the same thing, none of whom really come from this sector. So we will do our best, but we're best informed when folks like you are involved. So if you all have ideas for what we should be doing in developing the guardrails, I invite you to reach out to me, my team, and help us do the right thing in this area. So that's just an open invitation. But in terms of advice for folks using AI, I guess I would just say use it. We're trying to think of every possible way we can use it in government, whether it's for helping to speed up the amount of time it takes to evaluate getting new generators onto the queue, and up and running in our transmission grid, that process can take 10 years. Maybe we can use AI and move it down to 1 or even months. So there's just so many ways that you can deploy the AI to help make life easier, to help shorten timeframes, to help things be more efficient. And so just digging in and getting started by downloading some apps and playing with it, I think is what my big advice to others is.
I think you touched on it in your talk, Elon, about learning by doing is important. It's you need to start using it in your business specifically. I mean, whether you know it or not, people are using AI in your business. And we see that in some of our Broccoli, cybersecurity tools that are certain documents get downloaded from like a ChatGPT, and sometimes you'll see that maybe, you don't necessarily see what's being uploaded, but you can see what's being downloaded, and if it has something to do with financial documents, some of that information is out there. So in your business specifically, it's taking that leadership role and being the thought leader in your business, and use AI as your thought partner, and having a structure around that to be able to tell your employees how you want this to work in your business and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And starting there, starting easy, with one tool, some early guidelines, and just build on that as you go.
So I would say, as an employee in an organization, don't wait for your employer to mandate AI usage. I think you have to be curious on your own. I would recommend people spend their own personal time diving in, investigating, trying, using AI tools. And don't be afraid of change. Don't be afraid to look at what you do today and say, maybe I was meant to do something a little bit different now with some of these AI tools. Maybe it opens me up to things that I never thought were possible in my career. So don't pigeonhole yourself in one place and dig your heels in and feel like you got to stay that kind of person in your career. I think AI just gives you a lot of opportunity to explore and understand how you will move along with AI to kind of find your sweet spot.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah. Thank you all for weighing in on some of those prepared questions. We have about 4 minutes left, and we have a lot of questions coming through. So as the moderator, I get to pick them. So this one is for Julie. How is the United States competing on a national basis to onshore technology investments?
Well, this is something that President Trump has talked a lot about and is working very aggressively to make happen. There's been a lot of early results shown and commitments of hundreds of billions of dollars of new investments in manufacturing technology in the U.S. They're working on critical mineral development, working on a lot of the tariff policy is focused on this and trying to incentivize folks to come to the U.S. And also some of the things that we've done to help build that and advance the economy in our country is creating a more favorable business environment in the U.S. I can't get through this conference without talking about the One Big Beautiful Bill. Included in that bill are massive policy changes to help make America more attractive for investment. The tax policy included in that is historic. We avoided the largest tax increase in U.S. history and really provided significant tax relief. All investments in research and development and capital investments for businesses are 100% deductible, and that's a permanent change. So for businesses, massive. We changed the estate tax. We changed the small business pass-through tax. So those are all great ways to make America more competitive and help attract more investment. At the same time, we know regulatory relief is something we hear from businesses all over the country. We can't have the country trying to choke us out with regulations and disincentivize investment. So there's across the board efforts to reduce the regulatory burden that the federal government is placing on businesses and lower the cost of doing business in the U.S. in that way too. So tax policy, regulatory policy, and hopefully down the road working on some of the legal challenges with tort reform that also face businesses and disincentivize engagement in the U.S. So those are some of the things we're very actively working on. on to get the fundamentals right in our country to incentivize business and growth here.
Thank you. Ken, can you talk about running open source AI models isolated from the internet locally, and would it be more secure?
Yeah, so obviously there's value, right, in isolation versus public accessible AI tools and usage, right? And I think it comes down, and this is a concept that's no different than what we've had for decades. Do you have the capability, either in-house or outsourced, to be able to set up, design, manage, and support that infrastructure yourself, right? Yes, there's some value in that for sure. However, you lose all that value if you mismanage it. So what I say, and I have another question about how you manage jumping into this while also balancing cybersecurity. I think the first step is an assessment of where you sit. Like, how ready are you? What is your current risk? What is your capability? And from there, you can make these infrastructure tool selection and ultimately figure out how to design your own system. It's hard to answer that without being able to know where you are now.
And Ken, don't you think they should hire you to do that?
Well, I would love that. Thank you, Julie, for that. But yes, please.
That's a good question too, because I mean, look at like email. I think there's you have to ask that question internally. Are we safer under Microsoft's umbrella than we are trying to manage an Exchange server ourselves? And so yeah, you got to look at your IT footprint. But I do think on the AI agent side, there are some of those agent tools like N8N and Flowise and whatnot that you can run locally on your own. So if your leadership team is concerned about putting your data out into the public workflow space, there are options to run your own virtual machines, run your own workflow tools. So I think what's nice is it gives companies a choice. They don't feel like they have to be out in the public cloud.
I'm going to call an audible here for each of you now that we have a minute left. What is an AI prediction that you think is going to happen in the next 5 years that 90% of this population would disagree with? I keep them easy up here.
90%.
Right now, I don't know how the value really needs to catch up with what the hype of AI. And there's not enough people paying for it. And I think you'll start seeing more upcharges. Right now, your $20 subscription to ChatGPT is most likely going to go up. And companies are already starting to create tiered access to higher CPU output and more tokens to use AI processes. So I think a lot of the profitability has to be there. There's billions of dollars being thrown out there to build data centers, and that's awesome. But in the end, it still has to be profitable.
You always need a Kelly, right, to balance the whole group out.
I would say in terms of predictions, there's a lot of predictions about how much power is going to be needed to fuel and power AI. And then some are saying, well, if machines are going to become more efficient, so those power predictions are going to be off, and we're going to build all this power and then not need it, and it's going to be really expensive for everybody. But I think that it's more likely that the power will be needed. The machines will get more efficient, but at the same time, the use is going to grow, and so we'll consume the power that's built by increased use of AI. So I think that we should just continue full steam ahead to build as much power as we can.
Well, sadly, we got to cut it off here. We got the red letter up here, but thank you all for listening in. I wanted to thank the panelists and just their expertise. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. All right, that wraps it up. So it's amazing how quickly 3 hours flies by. But what an incredible morning full of forward-thinking conversations, bold ideas, and true momentum. We've heard from some of the brightest minds leading innovation and redefining how we work, live, and grow through the lens of technology and AI. This room today reflects the strength of the people who ask what if teams are willing to try something new, and communities like ours that rally around progress. We are a region that doesn't shy away from change. We welcome it. and we use it to build something better. So a sincere thank you to our amazing speakers for bringing your expertise and vision to our stage. To our sponsors, thank you for making conversations like this possible. And to all of you, thank you for showing up, staying curious, and being part of this ever-evolving story. And while the event is wrapping up, we hope your engagement with us continues. We hope you'll join us in November for our Midwest Energy Summit, another chance to come together to spark ideas and lead into the future. I'd just close by saying we do have an opportunity that I would like every one of you to think about. If you're in North Dakota or Minnesota, technology is one of these highest demand emerging industries. For that, we have a national federal grant, our Good Jobs Challenge grant, that we just received a year-long extension on. Why I bring this up is because workforce is continued to be the #1 topic, that we need more people. We need to upskill the current people we have. We were able to capture this grant and actually be able to utilize up to $5,000 per person to help people upskill, retrain, or even get additional skills that will move them into better jobs. So if you've got any training needs, please see our team about this, because we can work with your company in a cohort, whether that be leadership training or tactical practical training. Those are the types of things that we want to utilize, and candidly, we'd like to use that national grant here and not return those dollars back to the federal government come September of this year, or this time next year. So 1 year to complete some of this training, credentialing training. We've got lots of education partners that are working with us on that. But please help us spread the word so that we can utilize those dollars. To all of our partners across the 6-state region that help us put this on, thank you so much for your partnership. We look forward to seeing you all real soon. Have a great day.